American election, November 16th, 1860. Abraham Lincoln was just elected as the 16th President of the United States. In only 2 short months, secessionists made it clear that they would leave the Union, and in December 20, 1860, South Carolina did. In the following months, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, Texas all followed in line and formed the Confederate States of America. It triggered one of the bloodiest and longest wars in American history, which lasted for 4 long years. Thousands were wounded, and hundreds upon thousands lay dead. There are many questions surrounding the death of Abraham Lincoln, such as why murder Lincoln. John Wilkes Booth, the man who shot Lincoln, wasn't the only person who wanted to see Lincoln in a hearse. Soon after Abraham got elected, he often got death threats in his personal mail. Many angry Southerners so strongly believed in their cause, they thought that Abraham Lincoln was the sole reason that destroyed the South and their way of life. They believed that if he was dead, it would settle all their problems and they could return back to the old ways, but that was not the case. As soon as the word got out that Abraham Lincoln, the dear president who sacrificed so much to free the slaves and save the Union, was shot by John Wilkes Booth, all the Northerners felt even more strongly toward Lincoln's cause.
With malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right.
With malice toward no one, Abraham exclaimed only a month before he died. Another simple question would be, what was Wilkes' incentive? Who was he? Why did he actually do it? Was he crazy, and how did he get away with killing Lincoln with such a large crowd and security? Booth was a young star who worked his way up to fame, especially in the South. I believe Wilkes was very conceited in himself, and he desired fame with such a fire that could not be distinguished until his name was written down in history, good or not. John Booth could not help but turn green at the sight of John Brown's instant fame when he stormed Harper's Ferry to start a revolt for the slaves. Although Wilkes was for slavery, he marveled John Brown was a man inspired. John Wilkes Booth, too, one day wanted to create such hysteria, and that's when his evil plan hatched.
A house divided against itself cannot stand. I believe this government cannot endure permanently half slave and half free. I do not expect the Union to be dissolved. I do not expect the house to fall, but I do expect it will cease to be divided. It will become all one thing, all the other. Either the opponents of slavery will arrest its further spread and place it where the public mind shall rest in the belief that it is on a course of ultimate extinction, or its advocates shall press it forward until it shall become alike lawful in all of the states, old as well as new, north as well as south.
The story mainly centers around Abraham Lincoln as he becomes the 16th president and how he dealt with the Civil War and his personal life during the time. It also introduces Booth as a newborn star eager for fame. The book transitions through the many events such as public speaking and travels that include both Lincoln and Booth. It follows Booth as he plans and plots for the day to kidnap Abraham, which is Booth's first plan. And in his chapter, the book explains how at an early age he craved for attention, and acting was his outlet, which he learned from his dad, who was also an actor. His natural personality, and considering how his fame mainly developed in the South, pursued him to commit one of the most shocking crimes that appalled American citizens for years. Abraham Lincoln slowly progresses through his hard-working days. The story moves on and continues to enforce the change in Lincoln from a young man to an old man, showing how the workload affected Lincoln's health and appearance. The book later on begins in vivid detail the day when Lincoln died, describing the various activities he performed which affected him and his decisions to go to the theater. Booth had already contemplated such a devious plot for a while and prepared a letter for the newspapers as soon as he did it. Thus the fateful night went down. This story went perfectly along with the Civil War as it shows in vivid detail the thoughts and feelings expressed during the time. The book mainly focuses on Lincoln, who played a crucial role in the Civil War as he was the president of the Union at the time. It clearly explains the decisions and ideas that affected the war. Another interesting tie-in was John Wilkes Booth, who played a major role in showing how bitter the Southerners still were after the war ended. He lashed out his anger and desires into one bullet, creating hysteria all across the nation. The last two tie-ins clearly go to Lincoln, as the book follows him to his speeches all across the nation, preaching his message and hope to all who would listen and all the soldiers. One of his famous speeches, the Gettysburg Address, addresses most of the tie-ins in this book. In the end, the book itself is a vivid story containing facts and ideas never thought before, and putting them in a perspective in a way that opens the mind to new beginnings.